enjoyed it, and hope to have you guys here more often for other events and be part of the co-working space. And that's it.
You know, and obviously Mo's hoping to invest in air conditioning and heating and things like that.
Definitely. I wasn't thinking of that until he told me he has a stake in some business that does air conditioning.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know. The guys are from Hanging Roots, so go figure.
Yeah.
So,
Shall we?
Shall we?
How long do you want your shooting?
I don't think we need more than 20 minutes, 20, 30 minutes. I just need 5 minutes just to separate the roles. We might finish before then.
Okay. Sorry we don't have a bigger, if you want to like come in a little bit.
No, stay there. With the heat, no. Keep them.
Can you just carry it and walk back and forth so we can see it?
Like Venom Way.
Yeah, there you go.
Wash up here, not kind of wine.
Yeah,
I'm not
we're
going to do it, he is.
So today's session is on marketing with the illustrious, the prestigious Mr. Omar. You all know him from Start Me Up, but there are some things you don't know about him, namely, he's really fantastic. Obviously, right now he's a professor at Jersey University. He also does consulting. He's head of research at Agility Group, a consulting group here in Palestine. But before coming here, Omar did other amazing things that I just learned about, but they're no surprise to me because I know how amazing Omar is. Namely, he was financial controller at Brighton Trading, which is a distribution company. As a financial controller, you know, that's a lot of money you got to worry about. Namely, he worried about $70 million of money as financial controller, and during the time he was there, he helped the company grow from $10 to $70 million in just 5 years. Before that, Omar was an entrepreneur. He started his own consulting company that was quite successful and did projects for companies like Microsoft and SAP. He has an MBA from the University of Illinois Chicago, and he studied at Jersey. So he's a really sharp guy, a good friend, a volunteer like everyone else can Start Me Up, and we're lucky to have him. So thank you so much.
That's very kind. I'm glad you're a very good liar. It doesn't surprise me since you're a venture capitalist. So, today's session is about marketing. We can't go into all of the details about marketing, but what we can do is give kind of a marketing 101 for entrepreneurs. Talk about some of the main points because there are other aspects of marketing that other instructors, volunteers, very qualified people are going to be talking about, whether it's strategy, whether it's product development, or if we're talking about pricing. Sales is next session, so I'm going to leave some of that stuff to them. Today we're going to talk about basically what marketing is. We're going to define it. We're going to talk about a few basic essential things. And then we're going to talk about marketing research. And this is where some of the questions before the session came. How do I know when to give equity? What market should I focus on? How big is the pool that I'm swimming in, etc. So we're going to give you some tips on how to find those types of things. And then we're going to talk about the ingredients involved in the marketing mix. So price, place, product, promotion. We're going to give some examples. We're going to discuss some basic examples of that so that you can take this and hopefully use it for your projects that you guys are working on so tirelessly and effortlessly. And finally, the group activity, we're going to turn you into music moguls. In other words, you are going to have a record company, you have segments within the market, and you are going to have to select what type of bands or musicians are going to be appropriate for those segments. So let's get started. So before we start talking about marketing, one of the first things we have to understand is what a market is. So what is a market? A market is when buyers and sellers come together. So people have something that they're offering, people have something that they want. A market can be done anywhere. When I was in high school, we had markets in our classrooms. I'm not going to say exactly what was being bought and sold. Hello, Mahmoud, shut up. I'm not joking. So the idea here is that there's some type of need or want on the part of people willing and able to buy a product or service. So it's pretty simple, right? You have a great product, of course people want it. Because an example of this is, let's say that you want to buy a ring. So you can buy a ring from this wonderful gentleman here who has everything, his inventory in a box. And he has hands that pop up and show you the rings. Hopefully not human hands, real hands. And you're thinking to yourself, wow, he looks like a very trustworthy person, right? Seller, buyer. Normal, right? Because not every market is something that is attractive. Not every seller is out for the best interests of the buyer. And not every buyer understands the effort it takes to bring a product or service to market. So the other thing that we have to understand is, there's another way to buy rings. As you can see, these two are happy. The seller, the end user, not so much the customer, or the person buying the product, because he just saw the price. So with markets, not everyone is a customer. Not everyone is a customer. Everyone can be a consumer, but not everyone can be a customer. So we have to focus. Who makes the key decisions in purchasing the product or service? If I'm speaking too fast, sometimes I'll go really fast with the English. Stop me, ask questions, don't worry about it. I promise I won't be too harsh on it. But so far, we get the basic idea, because I didn't want to go into too much of an Econ 101.
So you're
Examples.
focusing on the customer or the consumer? The customer, right?
We're focusing on the demand side.
Which is both. You don't need both.
Yes, you do.
You need to make the decision to be a customer.
Who makes the decisions?
The customer.
Consumer can become a customer.
The customer always makes the decisions?
No.
No.
No, not always.
Not always. Why not, Osho?
Well, if you have a 4-year-old kid, he's not going to pick or pay for the product. His parents are.
Unless you live in a remote.
In that case, he's a consumer, he's not a customer.
Like since need, but
But whose need or want is being satisfied? Consumer. So they're influencing the customer in making the purchase decision. See, everybody can talk about these things. If we're not talking about children, let's assume that you're talking about going out and having food, or a gila, or anything else. The health industry? The health industry is selling a gila. Technically, yeah, it works. Oh, it works in Palestine. Arab Care and the Jerusalem Cigarette Company are owned by the same people. Anyway, the point is, you have to understand about the product. You're going to have questions. Why is this product going to make me happy? Or service, obviously. How is this going to change my life? Now, in the case of the child, the consumer that wants the toys or the food, or even worse, the diapers, and not necessarily the 4-year-old.
Could be.
Could be a 40-year-old too. How do I know that this is the right product for this person? Because the end user, and one of the things that we talked about with Ayman, is how to acquire users, right? And not every user is going to pay to use your product or service. But the users can influence people that are going to pay for products and services. And the users can get revenues based on how many people you can reach. This is where the fundamentals of marketing comes in. How do we communicate with them? How do we offer them a product? How do we make sure that it's offered to them in the right way? How do we make sure that we have the perfect price? So we start to look at two things. There's supply and demand, and this is answering your question a little bit, I hope. Even though I've never answered one of your questions. The supply is all of the products and services being offered. Everyone that's in the marketplace, all the players. Who is actually going in and saying, yes, we're opening up our falafel restaurant, we're opening up our shoe stores, we're opening up our tech companies. And last session, we were at Asam Technologies. Some of you, if not most of you, know Asam Technologies. Is it the only company that offers IT services and consulting in Palestine?
No.
Of course not. There are others, such as Exalt, Yafa, okay, who else? iConnect, Ultimate. Okay. So we start to name 6, 7 different companies that are offering services to the market. So where's the demand? Who needs these services? Companies? Ministries? Outside companies? Because you remember, our market, our local market, and our regional market is dominated by small to medium-sized industries. Is the software package cheap? It's usually expensive. So again, as price goes up, demand will go down.
Not necessarily.
For software? How? If I come up with a solution to Bisan, accounting.
The price can go up
Mm-hmm.
with additional qualities that the consumer is willing to pay for.
Such as?
Such as, I don't know in terms of information technology, but it can be improved.
So what you're talking about is value. See, I can read your thoughts. See, I knew you were going to ask this exact question. So the idea behind value is that we increase the benefits as much as possible versus the costs to the customer. As the benefits increase, even if you increase the cost, you're still maximizing value. It's a very basic equation. However, if the benefits are less than the cost increase, value goes down. I personally going up, quality of education goes down, there's no value. So when someone says, let's raise tuition by 2 dinars, they shut the university down. Just 2. But this becomes a very sensitive point for the customer, right? But what about a place like, let's say, Harvard? What if they wanted to increase tuition 10% or 5%? It's a problem, but they won't shut the university down because there's value. Where are the benefits in the university education for you guys? Most of you, if not all of you, have graduated from some college, right? Or you have done some type of schooling in your life. Or you're going to school right now. What is college supposed to do for you?
Advantage.
Great.
Maybe
How? Not debit credit. How?
Broaden your expertise, your knowledge.
Why?
so you can get a job.
So you can get a job. Okay, a lot of people say they get a job. Okay, what else?
Develop your personality.
Unfortunately for some people, depending on the schools they went to, we can see that that didn't work out very well. I won't point or mention any names, guys. Anyway. What else? What else is it supposed to do? It's basically supposed to prepare me to deal with any situation, right? Finding a job, starting a business, meeting new people, traveling, anything. So if this isn't being offered to college students, even if I lower the price, the value is still going down. As you will see in the pricing session, one of the things that price does is it selects the customer for you. And it represents how much value you're offering to your market. So what marketing does, essentially, it's a 3-step process. Segments, targets, and it positions. So what does segmenting mean? When we talk about segmentation, we take groups of people within a country, within any defined area, and we start to assess them based on similar characteristics. Age, needs, gender, income levels, etc. So we did this for StartMe, if I'm not mistaken. Right?
How do you do that?
We did it very well. You guys are here, right?
There is no market segmentation.
There is market segmentation. How is there no market segmentation?
It's segment.
Youth, entrepreneurs, wannabe entrepreneurs.
People that are looking for entrepreneurial skills, right? They could be starting their own companies. They could be part of organizations that help invest into entrepreneurial ventures, right? You could be possibly trying to work with a startup. Maybe you're thinking about being a co-founder, or maybe you're thinking about being a good employee or understanding what people are doing, right? As we said before, over 95% of businesses within Palestine right now are small to medium-sized enterprises, which means what? Essentially, they're entrepreneurial ventures. So the segment can be very, very big. But then we start to say, well, that's too many people. So we start to target certain characteristics. And what are the things that all of you share in common? Educated. Age group. Age group, we'll walk it. What else? Ish? English proficiency. Stop. I'm sorry. No. But English was one of the targets that we had. That you had to be able to understand and communicate in English at an acceptable level. And all of you can do that. Some of you do it a little better than others. You don't care. Because it's not something that's going to say, wow, he said and instead of a, so he's out. It's not like that. Because that defeats the purpose that we're trying to set. Because these things come from goals and our objectives and what we're trying to do. So when we select the target market, we're trying to make sure that this is the most attractive market for this program. In other words, who are the people that are going to benefit the most? Remember, benefits over cost. We keep the costs reasonable, which we, I think, overdid on the reasonable nature of the cost, but that's okay. And ultimately, you will come away with some value having taken these courses. This is important to us. Because other people say, I'm not going to pay 500 shekels when I can get training for free. That's not part of our target. This is about education for entrepreneurs, not training. Anybody can give you training. It's not the same. We're supposed to be giving you real life experiences. Then we position. So in other words, we're looking at everyone else in the market and what makes us stand out in your eyes. So let's take this for a second to something very, very simple. Let's assume that you are hungry. I personally am starving right now. Yes. But that's okay. So if I take the segment, if I want to segment everyone that is feeling hungry in this room right now, how many people would raise their hands? So the rest of you are liars. Who does? Better to be hungry than a liar. So, for these people that are hungry, for these people that are hungry, is it too loud? In English? Sorry, guys. Why don't you sit here instead? Good God. I mean, the guy is probably protecting you guys more, but fine, whatever. It's okay, don't worry about it. It's all good. So, for the rest of you liars, for the rest of the people that are hungry or whatnot, there's something that we can look at. But Dima, you did the same thing. ايش؟ لا بتلف لفوق اذا بدك يعني بس ما بتلف We can talk about that with product design. Now, okay, are we good? Ladies? And the ladies is more than just gender. Okay, so we're positioning ourselves, we're targeting, and we're segmenting, right? How do we differentiate what we should eat if we're hungry?
You can think fast food or something more.
You're segmenting the categories.
So, but everyone's hungry. This is a segment. But it's not enough for me to make a decision. Right? So we come to targeting. What do I need to make sure that I have the right or the most attractive market? It depends. How much are you willing to spend?
Can you focus on the timing, like let's say between 12 and 1 p.m. or 12 and 2? So like you focus on kind of group of people who are...
We can. You can do that. You can do that if you want to. You can also take into account when they take bathroom breaks. I mean, that's fine. But the idea is, I have to understand what's the most attractive market for me. If people are only a little hungry or they're about to go home, usually they're going to eat at home. So I can't spend a lot of money trying to attract people with big meals, right? So I go for something smaller. Now if I do this, as you said, at different times in the day, instead of 12 to 1, I say 12 between 11 and 2, when they're usually at work, I can invest in bigger meals and attract them because that's the middle of the work. So I start to define what I'm going to focus. So maybe I do a lunch for employees. So I start to break this down even further. So it stops becoming about hungry people and starts becoming about employees that are in their offices between the hours of 11 and 2 o'clock. Now, I have an attractive market. So I go to position. I try to distinguish myself from everyone else. How do I do this? So let's assume that you guys work in Mosion. Okay? Fair? There's lots of businesses there. Are there restaurants?
Yes.
Unfortunately, there are lots of restaurants. So how do I pick my restaurant?
Price.
Price is one. Quality,
Location.
time, location, affordability, etc.
Speed, whatever.
How quickly can I get my food? How accurate is my order going to be? Do I have to go pick it up myself? Can someone deliver it to me? So all of these factors go into differentiating the market that I'm trying to attract. So far so good? Okay. So imagine if we take this from the example of being hungry to needing a developer. Somebody that is an expert in the tech field. What things do I need? Where are the tech people at? Okay, this is done. Now you guys can start to participate and actually add value, as Hani said. So, what do I need? Mahmoud. Experience. How much experience?
Efficient,
How much experience do I need?
depending on the position.
The project.
Depends on the project, on the task you work.
So you're starting to see that just saying experience isn't enough. I have to know what I'm trying to attract. Am I looking for a project from a private sector company that wants a small program?
Long-term project or
Short-term project. So you start to see how you can use this STP process to begin to identify what your needs are and how you can satisfy the needs and the wants of your customers. Because when we talk about demand, there's two very, 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 very important words that you have to remember. Willingness and ability. Remember the guy with the rings? He carried them in the suitcase? I'm able to buy that ring, but I'm not very willing. And as we start to talk about product and product levels, you'll start to see why. Is that clear? Yes.
in markets, large enough market and you're small enough, you're very small. Does it matter segmenting the market since in any way you're not gonna get a specific portion or something like that, or even if you market that portion, I mean the calculations,
That's actually a very good question, Salah. I'm glad that you asked it. Let's take it something completely different. Do you play cards? Okay. How many people do you need to play cards?
Depends on the game.
Four. Depends on the game, but let's an average game, a typical game. Four. Do you like to have a certain partner, or do you care you don't care who the partner is?
Depends if I'm cheating or not.
We're assuming that it's a friendly game of cards between friends. Not friends of Ashraf, but friends in general. You want to have the right kind of partner. You feel more comfortable with one person maybe over the other two. There's a small market, but you're segmented between experience, how well do they know, how long have they played, expertise, how well do they know how to play, whether or not they're knowledgeable and can read your mind and read your expressions.
And risky or conservative.
Risky or conservative depending on what they throw down. So you start to see that even in a small market, you can still segment. Yes,
but large markets, when you can't even get a share, that matters. For example, in my situation, I build apps, there are tons of apps in the market, and the users are
Not tons. Billions of apps.
Yeah, millions of apps.
Billions of apps.
Not millions.
Hundreds of millions of apps.
Yeah.
But not every app gets to the market.
Yes, but the question is that since the market is so big,
Yeah.
doesn't it really matter to make the study about it or to look for a specific...
It doesn't matter to make the study?
You can't afford it.
Wow. I'm glad, surprisingly enough, that's another good question because I'm going to show you how easy it is to find information and pay nothing.
Even the local market.
Even local markets. It's not perfect, but it's pretty damn good.
In my target users, my students, how I can
Who are your target users?
because about my target users before I start my business.
Okay.
To do some services.
Right.
Before starting.
Should we start with segmenting? Trying to divide up the market into different groups based on age, population, income levels, education levels, gender, whatever.
But in terms of how appropriability of market segmentation to the product and the service that you're selling, مش دائما بدك segmentation.
Why? Why? Such as?
Milk.
Milk? Wait a second, there's no segments for milk?
Everyone drinks it.
Yes, but
Not everyone drinks the same type of milk. And then I'm not even getting to the Israeli versus Palestinian milk. I'm getting into the different types of milk. The 2%, the 3%, whether or not it's powder, whether or not it's liquid, whether or not it's in a carton, whether or not it's in a plastic gallon, whether or not it has to be put in the refrigerator. There are different types of milk. Neither is Do you heat the milk up or do you drink it cold? There are different segments, there are different ways that people can use this product.
Okay, for this example, how can I
So milk.
yeah, but if you're
It's
also
not necessary. It's not necessary. Sometimes
Milk is not a necessity?
Market segmentation is not appropriate for the product that you're selling.
Such as something besides milk. Cheese.
Papers,
What kind of papers?
Tissue paper.
bank papers.
Papers, يعني إنه paper, paper, ولا
A paper.
paper. Paper like this?
Yeah.
You think that there's not different sizes of paper? Different weights to paper?
even the lines,
The
the
market-
college
I'm sure
rules.
you're not opening a whole company to sell A4 papers.
What type of A4 paper is in demand in the marketplace? Are they based on price? Are they based on quality? Am I selling to advertising firms? Am I selling to schools?
Okay, but
Am I
in
selling
terms
to
of-
universities?
In terms of R&D and market segmentation, it's not cost efficient.
to estimate the demand for paper in a market? So I can start my business and make sure that I don't exit after 6 months?
Yes, we got a segment size.
You're not innovating يعني مش ضروري تتعب تعمل market segmentation. You already know what the market needs.
Okay, I'm going to go very, very, very personal here. You guys do market segmentation and you've seen this. We're coming out of the summer season, yes? What happens during the summer?
Working.
Weddings.
Working? Weddings.
Yeah.
So there's no market segmentation when people get married? It depends? Really? Even if your mother finds a wife, or your mother finds a prospective husband, there is segmentation, is there not? We start to ask where the person is from. We start to ask education level.
Yeah.
What are their families like? Do they have money? Do they have problems? Etc. There's segmentation in everything. And then we start to target. We say, we don't want these people. We want to focus on this group. Sorry guys, this is fact. Or if I'm saying something wrong, or something that is not true, stop me right now.
You're removing the emotional factor.
Emotional factors?
I love you.
Ish?
But it's like she's sure that she's saying something, like if it's based
You love
on
him?
I'm being dramatic.
Say her.
That's. I don't want to use the term drama queen.
Man, come on.
But you get my point. That even in something as basic, something that is as traditional, that has gone on for thousands of years as marriage, there's still segmentation. And there's targeting. And then we start to position. How do we position? We start to say, he's a lawyer. Or, look at her, she's pretty. Or we start to say things like, oh, they have money, or they have positions or power or something, whatever. But we start to basically come in and say, yes, we want this group, we're going after this group, and now we have to differentiate ourselves from everyone else that's going after the same group. Everyone going after the same group, those are your competitors.
But like back to the water, the paper example.
Yeah.
I mean, if there are already existing paper companies that have been producing paper for the longest time, and
Yeah.
somebody decides to jump in, I want to produce paper since it's already easy to enter market,
Yes.
all of those companies could just drop their price significantly and just wipe this guy off.
They could, but one of the things, because we don't want to get too much into economics and we don't want to talk about oligopolies versus monopolies versus perfect competition or monopolistic competition or anything else, basically your price represents the value that you're offering your customer. But one of the other things that you have to understand is there has to be a long-term relationship with this customer. See, it's not a buyer and a seller as it starts out. They actually become partners. And you notice this. For those of you with companies or that have worked in companies, you start to notice that your customer literally tells you what to do. Yes? Why? They're buying the product from you. I'm going to tell them what they want. I'm going to tell them what I'm going to give them. Doesn't work like that. No, it happens a lot, but it doesn't happen, it's not sustainable over the long term. Because that way you open the door for competition, people to come into the market. But again, I'm trying not to go into economics, just cover some of the basics of marketing so that we see how these things go in. So like we said before, positioning is the process of how we differentiate ourselves. Whether it's price, whether it's quality, whether it's the paper company being a Palestinian paper company, as opposed to importing Israeli products. Right? This can help differentiate the product. Haven't we noticed this lately? Sales, estimated sales of Israeli products in the West Bank have fallen by 50%. Whether or not that statistic is accurate, we all know that there is an increased, or often a decrease in the consumption of Israeli products in the West Bank. Yes or no?
Yes.
So the idea is, the positioning it had from being superior in quality, we start to put this in our mind as this becomes us funding occupation. How we are perceived is the fundamental of positioning. Okay, so we talked about this stuff. Now we're going to talk about market research. The stuff that you guys love. Market research sucks. Because it sucks, it is important. Market research is like medicine. It's not supposed to taste good, it's not supposed to be fun, but if you do it right, it'll solve your problems. So, let me ask you guys a question. How many of you have ever taken Panadol, Advil, Acamol, whatever? Do you use this because you like the taste? Anybody? Amir? So, why are you paying money for something that tastes bad? Value? Where's the value?
Feeling.
Getting rid of the pain? Right?
Temporary.
Relief versus
Just kidding. Trust me. Same thing with market research. Now with market research, we look at 6 stages or 6 steps that we take. Now the first is defining the problem. With problem definition, we have to ask specific questions. Why are we doing research? And this is Haneen's question. And it's a very good question. Why should we have to spend money on research? Well, we need to know the size of the market, don't we? So do we necessarily have to spend money? No.
Time is money.
no, because it's a second-hand information, but it's not available all the time.
Most of it is. A good 80 to 90% of the information you're looking for is available.
But the information you need to create position should be first-hand information.
I'm not talking about positioning. I'm just talking about the market in general. Okay? The market in general says, I need to know how many people are available, what the value of this market is, what should I expect in terms of revenues, etc. Knowing how many companies there are, how much is imported, how much is contributed to GDP, etc., tells me some basic things. Okay? And the second thing I have to understand is, if I find this out, what am I going to do with the answers? How is it going to help me? Is it going to make a difference if the chair is green, or yellow, or black? What if the customer doesn't care? Why should I do the research? Okay? So I have to ask these questions. Now, second thing is the research plan. First thing I have to look at in the research plan is, where am I going to get the data? There are 2 things, primary, secondary. You guys know this. All of you know this, right? Primary data, very expensive, sucks, very time consuming, very expensive, very time consuming, sucks. You have to talk to people, it's time consuming, expensive, sucks, you have to talk to people, etc. Secondary data. No. Thank you. Secondary data. Cheap. Less accurate. But accurate enough. Right?
It's past data, it's not up-to-date data.
Well, am I going to predict the future?
You're not going to predict the future, but you need first-hand information to create your own product.
You work in an auditing firm, yes?
Depends.
Deloitte is an auditing firm. When you do financials and you do comparisons of the financials, do you just do 1 year? Why? Why?
Because I'm studying the trends.
Aha! So I don't just take the past data and say, oh, last year it was this much. I go back 3 years. I go back 5 years to study the trends. And the past data can help me understand whether or not the market is going up or down. So these are things that help me. Now the research tools that I can use, or the method, or the approaches, I can sit down and watch people buy things. That's fun. Right? We used to do that in college. We used to sit down and watch people pass us by. We don't want to say what we did after. We can get a few people together and ask them questions. Focus groups. 5 to 7. Really, if you go more than 7, you start to get into very, very time-consuming territory. Then you start to hear different opinions. The focus groups should represent people. Okay? They should be representative of the market. So you have to have 1 or 2 people from every segment that you want to know about. I can use surveys or questionnaires. Those are fun to pass out.
Sample.
How do I know my sample?
Based on your market segmentation.
Based on the market size.
Size or
Size. Size of the market. Size matters in this case. Because if I have anything over 100,000 people, I believe, I'm going to have for a 95% confidence level with an interval of plus or minus 5, sorry. I'm going to need about 335 to 350 questionnaires that I need to pass out, give or take. That's not me being good at math. That's me knowing how to find it on Google. Segments matter, of course they matter. So I start to divide these questionnaires based on location, based on number of establishments, based on types of establishments, etc. So I can either ask questions where people give me long answers, or I can ask very simple questions, yes or no. Or tell me, how much do you love the yellow beanbag on a scale of 1 to 5?
5.
Great. How much do you love the red beanbag on a scale of 1 to 5?
4.
So I know my target is Haneen, I'm getting yellow beanbags. Because I have scientific data to support that the yellow beanbag is better than the red beanbag. And this is the importance of the research. I told you, this is the fun stuff.
But you are asking about something already in the market.
Such as?
This is that. But what about you want to enter the market to new product?
So what's the new product you're thinking about bringing in? It's never been seen in the market before? Nothing close to it. So let's say that you want to bring in a new type of makeup. Not for men, for women. In the market. Right? This has never entered the Palestinian market before, ever. Can't I see the size of the market for cosmetics? Even if it's a new product, I can still benefit from the information that's available, or the data that's available. Does that make sense?
Yeah. You see the prosperity.
And what types of things are they buying?
Yeah.
So I see what the closest competitor is.
And you try to achieve.
And I estimate what the market would be. Yes,
For many of the successful companies like Google and the translation companies from Microsoft offered the translation service. When they started, their business model or the service they provide usually fail. So the market indicators and what the research will tell them is that they're very fair. But
have you ever heard of a movie called Star Wars?
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay, Star Wars. The Jedi.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yoda, little thing, green, ears out to here. I don't want to say who he looks like. But point is, when they tested this and they did research, people were scared that the movie was going to lose so much money, they figured if they burned the film, it was going to cost them less than distributing the film. Turns out, the market research wasn't done properly. One of the most profitable franchises in the history of mankind. I mean, it's like the McDonald's of movies. Whatever they put out, people buy. So the question that I go back to is, when I ask Haneen, I don't ask her, does she like the yellow bag and does she like the red bean bag? I ask her how much she likes this. And then I ask her why she likes this. Is it because it's more comfortable? Or is it because it's shaped differently? So I start to ask certain types of questions to help me understand what's going on inside her brain.
So it depends on the smartness and intelligence of the researcher.
That's why I'm head of research.
What questions would they ask?
Usually when you do a questionnaire, you try not to overload people, but it depends on the client. It depends on what you're trying to do. Sometimes I would say no more than 20 questions. However, clients, sometimes they want 50 questions because they want things broken up. And in this case, you start to use the types of questions, yes or no, you scale them, you rate them, 1 to 5, 1 to 10, so you have an idea that when they're answering these questions, it's easier for them to put an answer rather than having everything open-ended. Because the other part of this is how the data is going to be collected. And again, it's expensive. You have to hire field researchers to collect the data, and questionnaires are going to cost you between 15 to 30 shekels per questionnaire if you're going to hire a firm to do this. Okay? So, if not more. Then I have to make sure that these researchers that are doing this actually know what they're doing and they care about doing a good job. Most of you, if not all of you, have done some type of research and you've prepared questionnaires. How many of you have given the questionnaires to your friends? Don't raise your hands. Don't raise your hands. I'm a teacher, for God's sake. Why would I tell you not to raise your hands if you gave the questionnaires to your friends? Because they probably weren't part of the target group. That's the difference. So in this case, the data that I get is going to be wrong. Yusuf, thought? Wait, Yusuf is going to answer this. Because Yusuf knows the rule. Yusuf knows the rule. Yusuf knows the rule. Yusuf knows the rule. Don't answer your phones. I know, but you're looking at it. I'm a megalomaniac. I need everyone to look at me and love me. I'm going to teach you this word later. The other thing is, you give them to your friends because you're usually late in submitting the report. So the other part of this, not only is the accuracy of the data being collected, but the timeliness of when the data is being collected. Am I doing this too early? Am I doing this too late? Is the data going to help me make decisions? Because where is this going to show up? This is going to show up in the data analysis. If I give Haneen questionnaires to enter, and I mess up and saying males or females, all of the data I collect and all of the segmentation I try to do is going to be wrong. So I'm going to find out that males in Palestine living or working in Ramallah want to and wear lots of makeup with high heels. Maybe that's a true statement, but I would assume not. For example, in this example, without being too gender biased. The other thing is, now I can start to run, if I collect the data properly, I can analyze it. I can start to run what-if scenarios. I can start to say, what happens if the market grows by 10%? What can I expect? What happens if prices go up? What happens if other people in the marketplace leave? I can start to ask questions and have actual scientific data to help me do this.
That is all based on estimates.
But who's doing the estimating? Let me ask you a question.
A junior researcher.
Yeah, but junior researchers are, everyone's a junior researcher. But let me ask you a question. If you're a junior researcher, and I tell you you're going to a workshop, and the workshop starts at 8:30, what time do you have to leave your house?
Hey,
Why?
be there.
What if I tell you the workshop isn't in Ramallah, it's in Jerusalem?
7.
Why? Why 7?
Because I need more time.
But you're a junior researcher. Why should I worry about your estimate of time? There are factors that go into the estimations. There's logic, there's probability, there's historical evidence. There are facts that tell me this is going to take me 1 hour extra, or this is going to take me 2 hours extra. Because then there's another question. Do I have a car? What kind of ID card do I have? How am I going to get around the checkpoints, etc. All of these things are factored in, right? So with that data I collect, this data becomes the basis for my estimates. Because I don't just pull things up. I make sure that I have actual things that I can build around. Which brings us back to the yellow bean bag. You like this, right? You prefer this. What if I tell you this costs you 1,000 shekels? Are you gonna? How much are you gonna like this?
Not so much.
Not so much. Because I have to get all of the relevant factors that go into your purchase decision.
So which fee cases where the customer doesn't know what he wants?
You know, I used to think you were a good student. No, I'm kidding. Of course there are cases when the customer doesn't know what they want. That's the beauty of marketing. A friend of mine and I were talking the other day, yesterday I believe, about selling cars. And part of selling cars, and the success this individual had in selling cars, was being able to understand who this person was speaking to. If he was speaking to someone younger, they were looking for features such as radio, the comfort of the seats, the mirrors, etc. If he was speaking to someone older, or this person was speaking to someone older, they were looking for safety, airbags. You know, how much money could they save on gas, etc. So, part of this is making sure that whatever information I come up with,
I know how to process it.
I can not only process it, but I can present it. It's relevant. It makes sense. So in other words, when I'm looking at I don't care if I see this. This could be the most beautiful piece of art ever. Without me listening to it, I can't appreciate it. And this is what good research and good findings help me do. It helps me appreciate all of the effort. Because it makes it understandable. Okay? Now, the last step in the research process is the most important one. The decisions. What do I do with this 500-page paper that I paid God knows how much for? Why is it going to benefit me? So, if I didn't ask the right questions, I didn't process or collect the data the right way, I'm going to be stuck with $1 million worth of beanbag chairs that Haneen doesn't want to buy. So then what do I do? I said, okay. But if I do it the right way, I know whether or not to buy this. I'll give you an example. I was doing market research for a significantly large client here, locally. And this institution or this organization has, I don't know, 7 figures. 7 zeros behind its number. So, they wanted a market research for some investments. So we did the marketing. We asked the questions. They brought in an expert from France. Well, he split time between France and Lebanon. Nice guy, very smart guy, retailer. Everything that he told them to do was wrong. And this is an expert from outside, right? It's not a junior researcher from a local office. This is an expert. But because he didn't know what questions to ask, and he didn't know how to process the data, he was going to cost them somewhere in the neighborhood of about $200 million. Less. So the 7 zeros would have become 5 or 6. Very, very quickly. So it doesn't matter whether or not you're a junior researcher, whether or not you're an expert researcher. This is why God created Google. This is why God created the Palestinian Bureau of Statistics. Mass, USA, all these wonderful websites with all of this information that you can use that's fairly recent. Yeah, most of it goes up to about 2012 to 2013. We're in 2014. Anybody that says they want data on 2014, in 2014, well, let's just say that they should be shot in the head. Because nobody's going to collect data in 2014 and give it to you in 2014 with that data being accurate. Or it is extremely difficult and extremely expensive to do that. So I have to ask myself, how much am I willing to pay? And we go back to the original question that we asked before the session started, how much am I willing to take from these venture capitalists, these investors that are going to tell me how to run my business? It's the same idea here.
Depends on how reliable you want your data to be.
Well, which brings us to this, the marketing mix. The marketing mix we explained, we talked about, we covered some of the main points. But the marketing mix is how we manage the STP process, the segmentation, the targeting, and the positioning. So there's 4 main elements. The product, which is what we offer. The product can be a service as well. The price, how much we are going to be compensated. The place, how the product is going to be distributed. How many people are going to be involved in this process. And the promotion, how we are going to communicate with our customers. Do we lower our prices? Do we start to give them deals? Do we start to make them special offers? Do we put advertisements? Do we use social media, etc.? So it's about communication. Okay? So there are 3 main products, 3 main levels. There's like 9 levels, but there are 3 main levels when we talk about a product. There's the core. I'm not buying tissues. I'm buying something to wipe my nose. Right? I'm buying something to relieve this pressure I have. That's the core benefit that I get from this product. But the actual product, I start to look at the packaging. I start to look at how soft it is. I start to look at, does it come in colors? Does it come in different scents? And then the augmented product. How am I buying this product? Where am I buying it from? Am I buying it off the back of a truck? Am I buying it from a kid on the street? Or am I buying it from a supermarket that's overcharging? See, the kid on the street can overcharge me too. There's a difference in what you're willing to accept. Now price, there's 2 main approaches that we look at. Obviously the PowerPoint did not cooperate because it was supposed to be nice and fun with animations, but that's okay. There's 2 things that we look at. There's the traditional cost base. I design the product, and then I start to work. And then, after I buy everything, I say, oh, wow, it cost me $100, so I have to sell it for $120. Maybe the market is not willing to pay more than $80 for your product. Which brings us to the value-based approach. We base it on customer needs. We look at what the market wants, what it's willing to pay, and then we start to buy the materials. After we get the materials, that's when we put it together. So think about it like this. If you're making dinner, or lunch, of course I'm going to the food references because I'm starving, so bear with me. Because none of you are hungry, so it's okay. You guys don't eat. So when you're doing this, you're thinking to yourself, I have 100 shekels I can spend. Right? So, are you going to buy a whole lamb? You can't. So with this approach, I can maximize the value given to customers based on lowering the costs and increasing the benefits. Placement. How we distribute the products or make them available. There's either a direct channel or an indirect channel. Now, marketing channel means we have X amount of people or X amount of institutions or partners in the process. So do I need an importer? Do I need a distributor? Do I need all of these different people to get my product? Right? Or can I sell it to them directly from the manufacturer? And the last thing we're going to do, see I was able to make the time, is promotions, communication. And as you can see, these are all of the different ways that we can communicate with our customers. They go based on how many people I can reach, such as advertising, billboards, to things like personal selling or internet marketing, where I'm actually getting down to specific face time with the customer. Leaves, I have to re-establish the relationship. So you're going from two extremes. One where you're controlling all the information that's going to the customers. Two, you're getting someone to communicate with them directly, but it becomes a very costly process. So as we do this, you have to remember, one of the things that you can do is, with your social media, understand your segments, understand your markets, tailor and customize your message to meet their needs. Okay? And if I can just have 2 minutes just to write some things down, we can start the activity. Thank you. Okay. Yes.
استخدم البرستيج مثلا انك ترفع السعر وتجيب كاستمر بزياده.
But what's prestige?
يعني بعد كل ذلك صاحبك
Okay. صاحبك. بعرف ايش.
عملت شركة ماركتينج.
حلو.
تبع الشركات كانوا بيشتغلوا اشتراك بكذا.
Okay.
بعدين راح لعب كورس العمليات ايام
اوكي. هلا يعني له شعبية أكثر. شباب صبايا لو سمحتوا. Group A, where are they? Okay. Group A. This is a 5-round simulation. Okay. Group A. Every single group has a record company. You have a music distribution company. You are trying to attract a market. As you can see, we've split up the market into several different segments and targets for you by age, gender neutral. So, Group A, where are you again?
Can you zoom in?
Yes, I can. You have to attract 12 to 17-year-old kids, what we call teeny boppers. The beauty of the teeny bopper is they spend lots of money and they spend it very quickly, but then they grow bored and they stop spending money. So if you want to do this, you are going to have to try to come up with a marketing pitch in 5 minutes with your team to attract one of the judges, who shall remain kind of unknown, that they represent your target market, and you have to tell them exactly what they want to hear. So this is something that is very, very it's not about specific things, more about your understanding of the marketplace. Group B! Where are you, Group B? Raise your hands. There you go. You, now.
بس البيت تكون بس كلمات يعني بس اللغة مش صور.
لا بديش صور. بديش صور. بديش صور. No. Yes. Music. Music. Yes. And you guys, how many of you don't listen to music? No, Muslim, you are my hero. Haneen, you don't listen to music? Now, Malik, Group B is trying to attract the cool kids, the college students. Again, you can tailor this to local artists or regional artists. You know which ones are very, very hot for a while and then they go away very quickly. Or the people that have power. And most of you, since most of you are part of the same age group, This should not be a big problem. So group B, you have to attract the college students. You have to tell them that the music is cool. Everything. Group C. Where's group C? Hamid. Okay. Yuppies. Single yuppies. Recent college graduates. Young professionals that want to look cool. I think you know which artists you can recommend. D. Same age group, but newlyweds. Once you get married, you stop being cool. You're worried more about being entertained. So you don't care what people think. Group E, the 35 and over. These are the most loyal. They want something very traditional. شغل كهاوي مش كهاوي مش عارف ايش. I don't care. You can do Kulthum, you can do Hani Shakir. I don't care. If you can sell it, God bless you. Okay? So you have 7 minutes to come up with a 2-minute pitch that you are going to go to the judges and try to see whether or not you convince the judges to buy your product or not. So, go. 2 minutes.
Our band is new. We were we're the best where we were. Our music is new. It's forget about the old hip hop and everything else. We are new and we are fun. That's it.
That's your pitch? Dude, I think you shot the rock at the Okay, so group A. I suggest maybe thinking about it and based on how much revenues you collect. Okay? Group B! Remember, you have up to 2 minutes.
Okay. So, if you're going to a party, or if you plan on going to a party and picking up your girlfriend, you can steal your dad's car, go to that party, and listen to this music on the way and in the party. If you're looking to be cool, if you're looking to be outrageous, spontaneous, this is the kind of music that we're sending you. And if you're planning on a runaway vacation, or you're running away from your house, your home, your job, your school. Our music is the kind of music that you will want to listen to. It's so cool, Earth won't accept.
I'm afraid the market won't either. Thank you. That's enough. Group C. Oh, too bad, Josh. Got the bubble.
Okay. You're still young, you get bored from all the kind of music you hear in the college. You are good, and you still feel cool. Well, all the kind of music will entertain you, will keep you cool.
So, we have kind of a fusion of Eastern and Western music, so you still can have a great experience with the music. You still have like mind-refreshing music, more mature in a cool style. You can like still have a gathering where you listen to nice music, especially when you have the Eastern music like Kulthum with the fusion of jazz or soul, whatever it is.
Sorry, not you guys.
And like it's still like okay, you're 24, you're 25, you're 25 to 35. You listen to this music. It's old, but it's like it reminds you of the old memories, but it's still new. So it always reminds you from where you are, and it always introduces you to what era. Like still like old music can be renewed, it can be made like into other interesting stuff.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, 2 minutes, and you guys took more. Group, where are we at now? D? Is there a group that's missing? We're in group E. Oh, okay. Okay, Ashraf, 2 minutes.
Alright, so our group is newlyweds. You're young, you're about to go on your honeymoon, you're still feeling the romance. You want to be able to connect emotionally and to still feel young and alive simultaneously. So it's a combination of romantic music. It's something that kind of borderlines on the pop. You're trying to keep the love alive, and well, even though it's still kind of fresh, but you're trying to keep the fire burning. So you're listening to a wide array of music that basically hits on emotion, hits on love, romance, and gives you that feeling of youth and energy.
Okay, thank you. Group E.
Hi everyone. Would you like to hear Nizar Qabbani or Mahmoud Darwish poems in a classical-oriented, well-composed tunes? With us, you can listen to most classical music in most oriented atmosphere. Listen to Nizar Qabbani poems sang by Qasim al-Sahir with our classical-oriented records. You should buy our CDs. You will be totally happy.
All right. Thank you. I would like to ask the judges just to write down how much they would spend on each group on a piece of paper. Secret ballot. Secret ballot. Well, no, I mean, just write down just write the thing. Is that you made a pitch? You made a pitch to the market. Okay? Nima. Thank you. You pitched to the market, and now you're going to get feedback based on how much they're going to spend. So this way you know how effective you were targeting this market, right? And you start to see how much more improvement you can make, okay? So, I think you guys know what your scores are. Pitch. You received $40,000. You should be ashamed of yourself. For college students. Wow. For the yuppies. You did not impress the judges. I told you. The line went up. For newlyweds, apparently they hit the nail on the head. Smaller market, but it's very well targeted. And for the traditional, so, based on these numbers, we'll give you one more pitch quickly to improve on your situation from before, or to emphasize how you're going to continue to make things work. Okay? So one more pitch. We'll see if you listen to the market and are able to change things. Okay? Yalla. Now.
Our music is fun. Let's fall in love all together and make the world a pleasant place.
Which group is this, sorry? Group A, Teeny Boppers.
Come jump, dance, and sing with us. And let's all be crazy together.
Oh, so you went for the short pitch again, huh? Okay. Group B. That's their school. Okay. Totally, Laura.
Come on, guys. You are so cool, so young. Just go for it, and do all crazy things. Go for party and steal your car, your dad's car. Go with your friends along the street with loud voices, loud our music. Just go for it and buy our music.
Wow. I'm glad that you guys are not running the record industry in this country. Next, Group C. Where's the yuppies? Subhanallah.
Okay, so want to get entertained and still feel cool? So the music we offer is exactly what you need. Fusion is a different mix, is a different kind of music that is a fusion between Eastern and Western. East and Western. That is for sure going to make you look cool, refreshed, and entertained.
Okay. Group C.
D.
Sorry, Group D. Me and Coco.
So this is the type of music that you can listen to freshly after your wedding, on your honeymoon, in coffee shops and in hotel rooms. It's something that you can listen to, you can jam to on long drives with your loved one. You know, something that you can actually listen to on every single radio station. They're all around on iTunes, and you can download them individually for 99 cents a piece. And it's something that you can actually download and combine into your own mix track. Something that you can reach out to your loved one and maybe even make a mixtape for them. This is something that actually fills your heart with happiness and joy, and it gives you that vibe that you are going to carry the love forever.
Very cheesy like a pizza, but thank you again.
Newlyweds.
Last group, traditionals.
Because we know. Because we know you love classical music. Because we know you love long-lasting, you want something long-lasting. You have a great taste for prestigious arts. You will not regret it. Please buy our CDs.
Okay. Thank you. I think. All right, so I'll ask the judges one more time to write down their scores based on the pitches. Same mark Same mark Don't worry. We can finish you off real quick. Don't worry. Now let's keep the money and where we are. Marginally. Newlyweds. Ashraf, I think he's got something with this whole relationship business. He's the expert. He should be. And traditional was also good. So, basically, the only people that were able to hit 100% of their market with their pitch and impress their market with their what they had to offer were the newlyweds and the traditional. Smaller market, more focused efforts. When you're going after a large market, it becomes very, very difficult to please everyone. Even though it was just an example, you start to notice that you were only able to achieve 30% of this market. You made more money, but how much more effort did you have to take in resources, in time that you spent, and in controlling your message, which is what we said from the very beginning. So, hopefully, takeaways are, know what you're telling your customers. Understand what they're giving you back in terms of feedback. Now the feedback in this case was the revenues. As you told them things, they evaluated whether or not you deserved their money. It's a very simple process. Thank you guys. Next session is with Momus.